Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English with Tarun podcast. I'm Tarun, your host, and today we have an exciting and very important topic for all English learners. We are going to talk about stop thinking, start talking. Now, I know many of you struggle with this, so I'm excited to dive in and share some helpful tips with you today. So, let's get into it. Why do so many English learners overthink before speaking? Why does this stop them from just talking naturally? Well, it's all about fear, the fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding silly or not saying things correctly. And because of this fear, many learners hesitate to speak at all. But here's the truth: if you want to be fluent in English, you have to stop thinking too much and just start speaking. The more you speak, the better you get. But how can you stop overthinking? How can you train yourself to speak more naturally? Well, that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. Let's first discuss the problem. Why do learners overthink? One of the biggest reasons is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners think, what if I say something wrong? Or what if people laugh at me? This fear makes them stay silent instead of trying to speak. But the funny thing is, native speakers make mistakes all the time. They mispronounce words, forget grammar rules, and even make sentences that don't make perfect sense. But they keep talking. The difference is they don't overthink it. But English learners often feel pressure to speak perfectly. So they pause, they correct themselves too much, and in the end, they don't say anything at all. That's a big problem because the only way to improve is to practice speaking. Another reason learners overthink is translating from their native language instead of forming sentences naturally in English. They try to think in their own language first and translate it word by word. And of course, this takes time. By the time they are ready to speak, the conversation has already moved on and they feel frustrated. Lack of confidence is another problem. Some learners feel like their accent isn't good enough or they don't have a large vocabulary, so they just stay quiet. But this silence only makes the problem worse. The less you speak, the more nervous you become, creating a cycle of overthinking and avoiding English conversations. But the good news is, you don't need to be perfect to speak English fluently. You just need to be confident and keep talking. So, let's talk about the solution. Why speaking without thinking too much is the key to fluency. Fluency comes from practice, not perfection. The more you speak, the faster your brain gets at forming sentences naturally. If you always stop to think about grammar and vocabulary before you speak, you'll never develop the speed and confidence you need. Think about how babies learn to talk. They don't study grammar first, they just listen, repeat, and keep talking, even if they make mistakes, and over time, their speech improves naturally. Adults can learn the same way. Instead of waiting for your English to be perfect, you should speak as much as possible. Even if you make mistakes, that's how real fluency develops. Another tip: speak first, fix later. If you focus too much on correctness while speaking, it will slow you down. But if you just keep talking and worry about small mistakes later, you'll sound much more natural. And remember, native speakers don't care about small mistakes. As long as you communicate clearly, they will understand you. Nobody's judging you as much as you think. In fact, the more relaxed and natural you are when speaking, the more confident you'll sound. Confidence makes people listen to you more than perfect grammar does. So, now that we understand why thinking less and talking more is the key to fluency, let's move on to something even more exciting: practical tips to help you stop overthinking and start speaking confidently. Here are some practical tips to help you speak more confidently. Number 1. Think in English. If you always translate in your head before speaking, it slows you down. So, try training your brain to think in English. A simple way to do this is by describing your day in English. For example, if you are making coffee in the morning, you could say in your head, I'm making coffee. The water is boiling. I am pouring it into my cup. This helps make English a natural part of your daily thoughts. Number 2. Don't worry about grammar. Grammar is important, but when you are having a conversation, communication is more important than correctness. Even if you make a mistake, people will still understand you. If you focus too much on grammar while speaking, you'll pause a lot and feel less confident. But if you just keep talking, your brain will naturally correct itself over time. Number 3. Practice with yourself. Many learners say they don't have anyone to practice with. But guess what? You can practice by talking to yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and have a conversation or describe what you see around you. This will help you get comfortable speaking out loud. Number 4. Use shadowing. Shadowing is a great technique where you listen to a native speaker and immediately repeat what they say, copying their pronunciation, rhythm, and speed. It's one of the fastest way to sound more natural in English. You can find a YouTube video, podcast, or even a movie to practice shadowing. Number 5. Keep sentences simple. Don't try to make long, complicated sentences. It's okay to use short, simple sentences. For example, instead of saying, I would like to discuss an important matter with you, just say, let's talk about something important. Simple is always better. Number 6. Embrace mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is part of the learning process. If you're too scared to make mistakes, you won't speak at all. And that's the biggest mistake of all. Number 7. Immerse yourself in English. The more you listen to English, the easier it becomes to speak without thinking. Listen to English podcasts, watch movies, and surround yourself with the language as much as possible. Number 8. Set a speaking challenge. Challenge yourself to speak English for 5 minutes every day without stopping. Even if you don't know a word, just keep talking to find another way to express your idea. The more you push yourself to speak, the more confident you'll become. Now let's talk about some important mindset shifts. Number 1. Confidence comes from action. Many learners think I'll speak when I feel confident. But the truth is, you feel confident after you speak, not before. So start talking now. Number 2. Forget perfection. Stop aiming for perfection. The goal is to communicate, not to be perfect. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. Number 3. Mistakes are proof of learning. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not pushing yourself enough. Embrace mistakes as proof that you are learning. Number 4. Compare yourself only to your past self. Stop comparing yourself to others. The only person you should compare yourself to is your past self. Are you better than you were yesterday? If yes, you are winning. Number 5. Embrace discomfort. Speaking a new language feels uncomfortable at first, but that's normal. Confidence grows when you step outside of your comfort zone. So instead of avoiding English conversations, jump into them. Learning English is a journey, and sometimes it can feel frustrating. But remember, every time you speak, you are improving. Even if you make mistakes, you are growing. The most important thing is to keep going. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start speaking. The perfect moment is right now. If you keep waiting, you'll stay in the same place. But if you speak today, even just a little, you'll be further ahead tomorrow. So believe in yourself, take action, and never stop learning English. Fluency is waiting for you, and I'm here to help you every step of the way. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe for more practical tips and motivation. Keep practicing and stay confident. I'll see you next time.